Oh, you want to say hi?
Yeah, you go ahead, finish.
No, I was just gonna I was gonna mute it because he's about ready.
Good morning. I'm proud to be a Michael Hill Kiwanian. Thank you. Mark.
Oh, who do we have?
Who do we have on?
We have Jim Johnson, Bob Evans, Don Johnson, Rich Reimer, and Tom Nelson.
Thank you. Members concerned, Mr. Huss. There you go. Thank you.
Go easy on me. I'm a new.
What happened?
Lost the audio.
Yeah, no kidding.
Out.
Okay.
Heavily in bed. They gave him a quilt that was quilted by the members of hospice. Many were from the community he lived to that knew him personally. It was a beautiful ceremony. It's called the Blanket of Valor. And then he passed away the next morning. So I'm going to go join Anita, and I'll be down there several months, take care of helping her take care of the estate. Whoops.
Just an update on Kay Scott. She has been put in hospice. However, she had 2 visitors yesterday, and they felt she was doing pretty well. So we're going to go over there today and see her. But that's hospice is the situation for Kay.
Any other concerns? Join me in a quick prayer. Lord, please keep these people in your heart. Bring them comfort. Bring their family comfort. And Lord, we just bless you for all of your blessings. Amen.
Okay, coming back to America, we got Rich Straw, who will lead us in the pledge. Welcome back.
It's great to be back in the USA. I have to say, we travel outside the USA, we appreciate it again and again. So join me in pledge of allegiance to this great nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we covered the visiting Kiwanians for a moment there. Any other visiting Kiwanians? Mike.
I have with me this morning Todd Osborne, visiting in the respect that he is the president of our Key Club at Palmer Ridge High School. And he'll be talking to you in a few minutes. It's part of our meeting about our CLC, Children's Literacy Center work, and particularly the book drive and the fundraiser that we're going to be doing.
Visiting Kiwanians. I'm back for Turkey last Thursday and going to Breckenridge tomorrow for a week. and most of a week. And then coming back for a dentist appointment, boo, his, and then coming to our famous, glorious Kiwanis Christmas holiday dinner dance.
Thank you. Any
And I
visitors?
drive back to Houston.
And visitors, any visitors this week? Yes? A visitor, yes. Program today will be, and I know y'all prepared with your brushes with
Sign a
greatness.
couple more.
Ready for that? Okay. And today's scribe is Doug Vaughn. Doug, there he is. Thank you. All right, top shelf. Okay. Announcements. Bob Nissen not here, but the Christmas craft fair. Would you like to say anything, Alan? I can say it.
Craft fair next Saturday.
It's being led by Bob Neeson, and also Jim Wolf is volunteered to step up to be a successor to Bob for next year. So we're fully staffed at all our events for next year. So on Friday, I'm sure that Bob has already reached out to a few people to do some taping, do some pre-work on Friday afternoon, Friday night, and then on Saturday at 9 to 4 is our craft fair. And it's a big fundraiser for the club. So hopefully everybody will be there. That's it.
Thank you. And I should mention at this moment that there will not be a meeting next week in lieu of the craft fair. That was a decision the board made. Christmas dinner, Lloyd's not in this morning, so I'll do that. That's December 7th. Today is the last day to get your reservations in. Or from here, and I heard you say you have to have to sign up online.
Online and also pay. That way we have on it, make sure that we have guests. We can, have a name tag.
Thank you. December 7th, 5:30 at the Wedgewood Inn, which is used to be called Black Horse, some High Pines or
The
something.
Pinery.
Oh, coffee sign up, I'll pass this around with this quickly, but we do need a lot of names in there, but for those of you that drink coffee, sign up. Just pass that around, and you need a pen with that, don't you? All right, thank you. And I also have a thank you note from the Palmer Divide Frank Blanket Brigade. They came and spoke to us several months back, but they have a collective thank you note from that group. Pass that around. All right, Ron.
Okay, yesterday was our first day of bell ringing. I want to say that we were pretty good. We had a pretty good day. Unofficial count, $1,600 for collections yesterday. This week, the rest of this weekend is filled. All the slots are filled. I'm going to try and keep you aware of the slots only 1 week ahead of time, even though there's 54 slots still out there for the rest of the year. Next Sunday, we still have 3 slots available to be filled. So if anybody can fill them up, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Heart of Monument Playground, Scott Ross.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you. I got 2 more Kiwanis International magazines that we will give out to people who come visit us. So thank you for that. That's a good thing. Second, if you hadn't signed up on the volunteer list, I sent you an email inviting you to kind of a kickoff meeting or a pair of meetings. It's a Tuesday evening and a Thursday afternoon, in person and or by Zoom. And so if you didn't sign up and are interested, actually you guys have signed up, but pass it around. We're gonna get things started. Project is moving forward. We did get that nice $3,000 gift from a member of the community, not a member of this club, to get that started, to get us rolling for fundraising on it. And Rich may talk already. It's time to be looking at getting your annual gifts into the club for granting. First priority is to get granting taken care of. But then if you're feeling generous, we also would appreciate a gift to get us moving towards our goal of fundraising for the playground. You will also be seeing more. You get a chance to vote on what the playground looks like. That'll come in a couple weeks. We'll send that out to all of you. And we're just looking for ways to get people involved. Thanks.
Hey, Mark, can I have my slides, please? So it's that time of year, again, when you're thinking about taxes and the club is asking that you consider us for donations. Next slide. So we did really well last year in donations. This was really the bright spot in fundraising. We made more money in donations than we did in any of the other projects that we did. So this was really great that this happened last year, particularly since we lost bingo. And we were making $50,000 to $70,000 a year in bingo. So that was a huge hole to fill. So this is how we did last year. So thank you very much again for all of you who donated. And we hope that we'll do well again this year. Next slide. Like I said, the donors really responded to our messaging. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we started emphasizing that how well the foundation is run. There's basically zero overhead in the foundation. And all the money goes to the community. The only expense that we have in the foundation is taxes, just around $2,000 for them. So it's just a great place if you're considering giving money for donations. You should consider the foundation. Well, we then take the money that we get and send them out to nonprofits and charities in the community. And we have a vetting process done by some really competent people that does your work for you. They take a look at the requests that come in for money, typically a little bit over $100,000, and that gets pared down, unfortunately, based on the amount of money that we can give, to around $40,000 to $50,000. But not everybody who applies for a grant gets approved. It's a pretty rigorous vetting process.
Rich, why do we pay taxes? I thought it was a 501c3.
Yeah, we still have to file. We don't pay taxes, but we have to file.
Okay.
Good question, Mark.
Oh, hey, that's all I have.
Okay, next slide. Next slide, please.
Oh, hey, come on, get with it.
So as you know, a bunch of us spent a lot of time last year getting us involved in Colorado Gives. This is a program statewide that the organization Colorado Gives gets a lot of advertising on TV and radio and newspapers and promotes giving to nonprofits across Colorado. We did pretty well. You all responded to that request that we give money because we knew that we would get a little money from them. It's not matching funds, but it was never clear how much money we were actually going to get from Colorado Gives. What they do is they take all the money that's been given statewide, and then we get a proportionate share. Well, you can see we only got $112.41 after everything that we did. So I now have mixed emotions about the value of Colorado Gives. I think it was great that we did all that work and we got into Colorado Gives because now we have exposure statewide. So if people are looking at organizations to donate to, they basically get the same pitch on the website that I just gave to you about why you should be given to the Monument Hill Foundation. And I have the last bullet there is they increased their fee this year. The reason that they did that is because they now have a new platform that they claim is, we're a whiz bang thing, and that everybody's going to love this platform. And so the fee is doubled. Next slide. So if you give this year through Colorado Gives, and I'm not trying to dissuade you, I just want to make you aware of what the situation is. This year, you can elect, if you gave last year, you remember there was a thing you could check when you gave about whether you want to cover the fee, which was around 2% last year. You check that this year, it'll be 4%, 3.9%. Or you can just elect not to cover the fee, and we'll be charged the credit card transaction fee of 2%. But you know what? You also have the option of always giving us cash or check. There's nothing comes off the top of that. No fee. We like cash or we like check. So if you're thinking about giving money to us, that's a really good option. Next slide. You can find the Colorado Gives on our website. There's a button down there in the bottom left. You click and it easily takes you through the process. And the next slide. So I have handouts here about qualified charitable donations and required minimum donation from your IRA. If you can't remember what those are, I have handouts here for you to explain that. We love QCDs. Just remember that 100% of your donation goes to the community. And with the loss of bingo, donations are really important to the club and to the foundation. So that's it. Kathy and I are happy to be back. It was a great trip. And hope you consider the foundation when you're donating this year.
Thank you, Rich. Mike, book drive, Mike Lupel.
Okay, want to talk to you again about the Children's Literacy Center and the book drive, but actually I'm going to let my better half talk to you. This is Todd Osborne. He is the president of our Key Club at Palmer Ridge High School. He is probably one of the best, if not the best president I've ever had. He's been on the board since he was a freshman, and he is a superstar. And I want to just have him talk to you a little bit about what we're doing as the Key Club, particularly with the Children's Literacy Center and the fund drive and the book drive. And if you have any questions, go easy on him. He's a high school senior. This is Saturday. It's also break time. So the fact that he's here says a lot.
Hey everyone. So with our Key Club, we're trying to get as many people involved as possible. We've trained about 8 people, but I'm trying to get more of those people involved. I personally volunteer every Monday and Wednesday at the Children's Literacy Center. So on December 8th, we're having a fundraiser at Mod Pizza. So we have a code on here, but anything that you buy at Mod Pizza during that day, 20% of the proceeds will go to the Children's Literacy Center. I'll help them buy books, things like that. We also have a donation box up here. We accept cash donations also. So yeah, please do that if you're interested. I think it would really help.
If you have any questions of Todd, he'll be around the break. He'll probably sneak out after that. One of the big things that the Children's Literacy Center likes to do is give books to these young, they're all elementary school, mostly first, second, and third grade. Some huge percentage, even in this county, in this Tri Lakes area, I think it's close to 40% have no books at home. And so giving them a book is a really, really big deal. So we are, as he said, accepting cash, accepting age-appropriate books. And then on December 8th, all day long, if you go to Mod Pizza, you either have to let them know you're there with the Key Club, or there's a handout to have a code on it, and we'll also put out an e-blast a couple of days prior. Thanks very much.
Thank you. We have spent the Mod Pizza. My wife and I love it. Fantastic place, you get customized pizza, reasonable price, and watching the cast of characters. There is a rush. Okay, We have Pete Peterson going to talk about scribes.
Scribes signed up for 2023, which just hit me. It's just around the corner, isn't it? So anyway, for the first month, I have this sophisticated Excel spreadsheet. If you could put your name on there for the first couple months of next year and get scribes lined up. Thanks.
Thank you. R.F. Smith, our regular football pools connectors.
Hey, it was a good week for the Monument Hill guessers. They all did pretty well. No turkey. So tryptophan must be really good for guessing the winners. The average shot up to nearly 70%, so almost 70% for a score of just over 11 correct. 8 guessers got 12 correct, and 6 managed to get 13 out of 16. So I was adding up all the tiebreaker scores, and then I realized that too bad for all of you who got 13, because one of our players got 14 out of 16 for 88%, missing only the Lions victory and the Broncos defeat. So the $28 this week goes to Jim Taylor. Well done. Unfortunately, with a low score of 5 on his first attempt this year, this week Sacagawea goes to Ben Bells Jr. But as a testament to his dedication to the club, he's trying again this week. Congratulations, you got half your money back. All right, week 12 is coming, 14 new challenges for the week. Hope you can read the card. And since we're not having a meeting next week, you can expect me to send all of you who have played this year. All of you have played this year, I will send you an e-card for week 13. And yes, for week 13. And you can get it back to me by Saturday at 5 o'clock. Okay? Any questions? If you did not play so far this week and you want to play, or this year, and you want to play an e-card, let me know and I'll send you one. Over to Jim Taylor. Lucky Jim. Thank you, RF. I really appreciate that.
Hold on 1 second, gotta share the screen. Okay.
Next slide.
Okay, NFL season, we lost a great player. Charlie Brown bet on Detroit to lose. They wound up beat. Who did they beat? Next slide. There they are. Beat New York Giants 32-21. So Charlie slipped out. We've got Scott Ross, RF, and Barry left in the loser pool. Next slide. Let's wish Scott, RF, and Barry good luck. And next week, all 3 of those players picked the LA Rams to lose. So so it's going to be interesting. We might be here for week 14 picking them again, but they've all picked the LA Rams. We've either got a 3-way tie for first place, or we've got we're going on to the next week. Next one.
More. Okay, Kimberly, take it away.
So we've got some Kiwanis rock stars for birthdays this week. First up is Mr. Max Williams. His birthday was 11/20. His sponsor was Rick Colishall back in 1984. He's been Sertoma Regional CERTine Advisor of the Year for 2005, 2006, 2008, and 2009. He was Sertoma International CERTine Advisor of the Year for 2005. Monument Hill Sertoma President Award for 2002. Kiwanis Presidential Award 2011, 2012, 2014, and 2016. School District 38 Hall of Fame 2019. Chamber of Commerce Volunteer of the Year 2018. Kiwanis Life Member 2010. Kiwanis Rocky Mountain District Relationships Award 2012. Monument Hill Kiwanis Distinguished Service Award 2021. Rocky Mountain District Lush Fellow 2021. Monument Hill Kiwanis Legion of Honor for 35 years. Rocky Mountain District KC Graduate Administrator 2013 to 2022. Harvest of Love Coordinator for 14 years. District 38 Kiwanis Liaison for 3 years. Sertoma President from 1989 to 1990. SLP Chairman for 28 years. Sertoma of the Year for 1991 and Sergeant of Arms, plus probably a lot of other stuff that wouldn't fit on there. And then Rich Rima, his birthday was 11/21. He joined in 1994. His sponsor is Ralph Meerman. He was president of Sertoma from 2003 to 2004. He was Sertoman of the Year in 2000. He was director of sponsorship for the Sertoma Light Granting Committee Chair for 3 years. He was Monument Hill Kiwanis Foundation board member for 5+ years. He was the coordinator of support for Griffith Centers for Children, Peak Challenge, Building Project Help, Golf Tourney support, etc. for 20+ years. He did 4th of July Parade Chief Judge for 20+ years. He's done Harvest of Love for 20+ years. Tri-Lakes Cares Food Distribution for 20+ years. Christmas Bazaar for 10+ years. President's Award from 2019 to 2020. Bell ringing, empty bowls, peaches, K-Kids, and he is a frequent Zoomer. Greg Donlin. Greg's birthday was 11/23. He joined in 2019. His sponsor is Rich Hicks. He's done the newsletter, been the VP of membership, done 4th of July, empty bowls, peaches, Harvest of Love, Thanksgiving food distribution, and bingo. So on 3, 2, 1, happy birthday! Now some interesting Thanksgiving facts. Historians have no records of turkey being eaten at the first Thanksgiving in 1621. Instead, ducks, geese, and swans are believed to have been served to the English settlers and Native Americans. The first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade had Central Park Zoo animals. Held in 1924, the first parade included monkeys, bears, camels, and elephants instead of the traditional character balloons we know today. Sarah Josepha Hale was actually the mother of Thanksgiving, as she wrote a letter to President Lincoln in 1863 calling for the declaration of Thanksgiving as a national holiday. This is my favorite one. Butterball has had a turkey talk line open for over 40 years since 1981. Each year, Butterball experts for this unique hotline answer more than 100,000 questions for thousands of households. And finally, the turkey's tryptophan doesn't actually make you tired, but rather it's your body's reaction to the big meal that you've eaten, a phenomenon known as postprandial fatigue.
Somebody's got I got it, but before I do that, Todd, stand up, please. Tall, good looking, has all his hair. I really hate this kid. My wife says that before I go speaking in public, I should always be well coiffed, so I brought my comb. Can I borrow that? You could have it. Bob, age 92, and Mary, age 89. We're excited about their decision to get married.
While out on a stroll to discuss the wedding, they pass a drugstore. Bob suggests they go in. Bob asks to speak to the pharmacist. He explains that they're about to get married and asks, "Do you sell heart medication?" "Of course we do," says the pharmacist. "Medicine for rheumatism?" "Yes, definitely." "How about Viagra?" "Of course." "Medicine for memory problems, arthritis, jaundice?" "Yes, that works." "What about vitamins, sleeping pills, Geritol, antacids?" "Absolutely." "Do you sell wheelchairs and walkers?" "All speeds and sizes." "Good," Bob says to the pharmacist. "We'd like to register our wedding with gifts here." Okay, this is definitely a big day. How many Michigan fans do we have here? Raise your hand. There's one. Oh, I got a bunch of just what we need. I can get my father here first. Father, a Michigan student and a Ohio student are in the 3rd grade. Which one's the biggest? Take a guess. It's 50-50, but Jim. It's the Michigan guy because he's 16. Okay, next question. Why do Michigan graduates put their diploma on the rearview mirror? That's because they can now park in the handicap slot. Okay, and my favorite target. Everybody knows what an LST is, right? Navy guy, what's an LST? Landing ship tank? No, it's a large, slow target. That's Barry. Barry, what do they call a boomerang that doesn't come back? This is a scientific question. No, call it a stick. That's all for me.
First happy buck, as always, I'm happy when I'm in Colorado. I give Watt Hill a call. He's doing fine, 98 years old. Went over World War II in Vietnam, and he flew all the fighters in World War II except for the P-51. His favorite was the P-38 Lightning, and he flew the A-37s in Vietnam, which is the attack version of the Tweety Bird. And then second happy buck, my buddy Steve Sutherland and his wife are expecting their 3rd grandchild. So just want to congratulate them on that.
Well, happy to be back. I've been gone for 7 weeks. I had man, you never failed to disappoint. Hey, I had COVID 2 weeks before. I went on a cruise for 35 days. Been gone for 7 weeks from Gowanus. I miss everybody. So I'm glad to be back. It was an amazing cruise. We looped the entire Mediterranean. It was 35 days on the cruise ship, and during that time we visited 30 ports. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing trip. Glad to be back.
Good morning, everyone. So 2 happy bucks, although one of them is actually a dual. Both of these things happened in the Walmart West parking lot. Barb was ringing the bell, I was picking her up, and there was a car parked, and I noticed the license plate. I thought it was pretty cute. It was a Colorado plate, but it was OHIOST8, Ohio State. So anyway, as Barb was ending up her period of bell ringing, our next door neighbors, very next door neighbors, couple in our age group, they walk up and they see us And Pete stops and goes, oh darn, now I have to put in $5. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. And the final happy buck, Mike reminded me of this, and this memory came flooding back. How many of you remember the World Book Encyclopedia? Yeah, remember the white book and the green binding with the gold letters? And I'm remembering how much I used to look forward to that annual update volume coming. So that's my other happy buck. So Santa's going to be at the Palmer Lake Star Lighting Ceremony tonight. Bring your grandkids over and get a free candy cane.
My happy buck was for doing the bell ringing yesterday at Walmart. I had a young lady, a little tiny toddler, her father dragged her across the parking lot, brought her up to the bucket, and it took, I think, most of the hour for her to put the money into the bucket. It was all coin. And at the end of the procedure, she looked at me and she said, "You can keep the change."
Like Rich said, it's really good to be back, but I had a great trip because I had a great lady keeping the books, and I came back to perfect books. It was great. Thank you, Kay.
Any other happy bucks? No? Okay, we'll go for a 10-minute break here. Come back with our Russian with Greatness, and there's coffee in the kitchen area. Thank you.
Hey, Rich. I didn't get that joke.
What's that?
Which one, huh?
I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Let's do this first.
What was your question?
The jokes.
Yeah?
I didn't understand them.
Oh, you didn't?
Do you remember any of them that you could repeat?
Well, one was, what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick.
And the punchline?
A stick.
Oh. Okay, I guess what you told, that's a good joke.
Hopefully they'll be in the bulletin so you can read them at your leisure. Did you see him when he pulled out a brush and brushed his hair?
No, I didn't see
It's
that.
kind of funny too.
I was probably drinking my coffee.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to do two things at once.
Yeah, it is. So, did they announce what the program's going to be at the first? I missed that too. I read the bulletin, but did he actually announce it at the first of the meeting?
Which, you mean the program
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
Well, I thought I saw that. Where did I see that?
Well, I saw
Hang
it.
on,
I wanted to see what he, how he was going to introduce it.
Well,
okay.
Well, I saw Rick Keever for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, we went
And
up
I
to
can wait. No rush on it.
Mountain Resort. So the meal was only $90 a piece.
Wow.
And Rick had the servers there, two young women there, just taking turns making sure his champagne glass was full. So then at the end, and we're getting ready to go, we had already paid our bill, of course, in advance. And it was, $90 a piece, so $180 for me and Gene, and
Wow.
90 for Rick. And he pulled out 40, 220s and gave this gal a tip.
Wow.
$40 tip on top of the
He must
20.
have, he must have struck it rich somewhere.
I tell you, he's making so much money, he's beside himself, kind of like, what the hell am I gonna do with this money?
Does he remember the Monument Hill Foundation?
No, he remembers it every year when he has to pay his dues. That's about it. And anyway, he's bought 2 or 3 condos down in Las Vegas because he's got to put his money somewhere.
So where does he live?
Oh, he lives in Vegas.
He lives in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh.
He just go there for the tax purposes. And there is a pretty good airport for getting out to anywhere he needs to go.
Oh, yeah, it's real handy.
Yeah.
Well, I live in a tax-free state now, too. South Carolina reduced the tax on my state income tax because they're not taxing military retired pay anymore.
You mean your military pension is not taxed? Is that what you're saying?
In South Carolina, the governor signed the bill in May. So tax for state level taxes, yeah. And some of the Social Security is not.
I've sent for rate of index 70.
So anyhow, it's almost as good as Florida without all the hassles.
It's really great at keeping. It'll be hot for 8 hours.
Are we keeping you up, Tom?
Yeah, I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning to take my daughter's family to the airport.
Oh, and what time is it there?
Same time. We didn't change clocks. Same time now.
I know, but that means you're 3 hours behind East Coast time, right?
No.
I'm in Arizona.
2. No, it's mountain time. Mountain time.
Oh, yeah. I thought Arizona would be in mountain time in the summertime and California time in winter time.
Well, that's the way it works out, yes, but they actually just don't change the clocks.
Oh, I see.
It has that effect.
So if you have a clock the day before that's slow, it's still going to be slow the next day.
Yeah, it's always incorrect.
It depends how slow it.
Because you're not going to reset it to the proper time in the new zone. All right. You don't change your clocks.
Yeah, I have 3 big clocks I hang on the walls and I never change them.
I think it's basically laziness. Yeah.
I go for that.
You know, people say how they can't, 1 hour change, they can't adapt, but they can fly 4 time zones away, get up and go to work. You know, it's the same thing. So I like it because it gets light in the morning quicker, winter time. Well, so we still don't know what the program today is, huh?
Well, in the announcement of the meeting, it said it was brushes with greatness.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And somebody like Donald Johnson said it's some retired general officer. So we'll see if it's Dennis Beasley or something like that.
I didn't know him. You knew him.
I knew him, but
yeah. I'm sure you knew him. I don't remember his name though.
You don't remember his name?
Hey, if anybody has any thing that they want to do, let me know, okay? Any touch with greatness.
Okay,
like that.
I want to go to the bathroom.
That doesn't deserve a comment.
But that's what I'm gonna do.
That's your touch, huh? Okay.
So Tom, what town are you living in?
Mountain time, same as you. Mountain time, but we just don't change our clocks for the summer.
Oh, I see. I don't know, you moved to another state, right?
I'm in Arizona, yeah.
Arizona.
It's not just my peculiarity, it's the whole state's peculiarity. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple as a friend, and they live in California, and they live in Arizona. So.
We've got a lot of those.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot of Californians in Arizona. Particularly, yeah. Well, it's their escape plan. When California gets really bad, then they'll move to Arizona.
Oh dear.
Looks like we're the only ones left.
Okay, so, well, I don't know, Jim Johnson may be on there, Bob might be on.
He's on there, yeah, but not showing his face.
Well, since you're in Arizona and they're still agitating about the vote in Maricopa County, what do you think? Anything about that?
I don't live in Maricopa County. No, it really doesn't bother me very much. Maybe if I lived there, it would make a difference, but no, I'm south. So.
So you must be living in Flagstaff then.
Pardon?
Living in Flagstaff?
No, I'm south. I live in near the Mexican border. If the US gets too bad, I know where to escape to.
Yeah, Nogales.
Nogales, yeah,
Or
Nogales.
Tombstone.
No, we're planning to go to Nogales for dental work.
The only place like this is supposed to be Green Valley.
It is Green Valley.
Oh,
Have you been to the caves southeast of Tucson?
No, what are they called? The caves?
Oh, it starts with a K. There's two of them side by side, and they are fantastic. We only went in one of them. And the story behind how they discovered the caves is almost hair-raising.
It begins with K?
Yeah. And it's,
Okay, this is something we did online about 2 years ago, and I still remember a lot of those stories, believe it or not. It's quite memorable. Anyhow, Brushes with Greatness, we want you to give us a little talk about someone of important celebrity, politician, whatever, that you ran into, rubbed shoulders with. So, do we have any startups around here? Steve Paul had a great one last time. Anybody gonna start this off?
I'll start it off.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I did meet Ronald McDonald. Who was the first Ronald McDonald? Does anybody know?
Yes, I heard that the other night in the fridge.
Who?
The weatherman.
Willard Scott.
Thank you.
He was the first McDonald. Yeah. Well, our first McDonald's restaurant back in 1986 was in Poto, Oklahoma. You know where that is?
It's somewhere northeast of Dallas.
Yeah, it's right at the border between Arkansas and Oklahoma. Town of about 8,000 or 9,000 people, and we were Mr. and Mrs. McDonald's there for 7 years until the fellow who died in the mountain climbing accident here on Maroon Bells passed away, and so we ended up selling our store there and buying 3 of his 11 stores. But that's beside the point. Carl Albert Junior College was in Poto, Oklahoma. Everybody know who Carl Albert was?
Senator.
Speaker of the House, wasn't he?
Oh,
I don't know. Anyway, so every year they invited a celebrity to come and speak to the community. Gerald Ford happened to come one of the years I was there. So I got to meet Gerald Ford, sat down at the table just like I'm doing here with Warren. We talked a little bit, and what a nice guy, salt of the earth individual, and didn't even act like a politician. He was just center of the earth guy and talked about all the good things that this country's made of. And so that was my brush with fame, Gerald Ford.
Thank you. Any other? Nate Peterson has one.
Way back in 1962. Can't even believe I can remember 62. So I was working at Disneyland. Boy, was that a fun job. You spent all of your money on beer and girls. Lived in a bunch of apartments surrounding the park, all full of college kids. The first year I was on the mule train ride. That's out in Frontierland, kind of where Big Thunder is now. You'd put people on a string of 8 mules and they would clop around. Wasn't a very profitable ride because you would only put 8 people on every 4 or 5, 10 minutes. So my position that day was the loading dock. We'd line up 8 people by size, get them on the loading dock, put them on the mules, strap them in. Ooh, Daddy, smell the mules. So I'd have everybody on this one ride, and someone's behind me. No one's supposed to be in the loading dock except me. And I turn around to confront this guy, and Walt Disney says, I want to be on this mule. So I had to kick off a couple people, put Uncle Walt on and strap him in and send him off.
Next up. Boy, there we go. Scott.
We can follow up with that. Walt Disney is actually a distant cousin of mine. When you get into genealogy, you find out that we are all related to all kinds of people. And it's actually kind of fun. I had 2 actual brushes with greatness, and then the one I'm going to talk about. When I was 7 years old, I got to see President Lyndon Baines Johnson go by in his motorcade while we attended Herbert Hoover's graveside service. So that was one brush. Second, I shook hands with George H.W. Bush when he was at the, in 1980, when he was a part of the Iowa caucuses running for president then. But the one I'm talking about is my 6th cousin, twice removed. Which if you're in genealogy, you figure out that's 8 generations or about 240 or 50 years ago. So my brush with cousin Abraham goes this way. First off, my grandfather, born in 1902 in a small town of LeGrand, Iowa, there was a dentist there, and he would go up to people and he'd say, here, shake my hand. You just shook the hand that shook Abraham Lincoln's hand. So now you shook the hand that shook the hand that shook the hand of Abraham Lincoln. So that's worth something. Not much, but it's worth something. And my last thing with cousin Abraham is that back around 1969 in Springfield, Illinois, they remodeled what was Lincoln's law office with his partners, and there was a court and there was various things. And while they did that, they put a hole in the wall between 2 parts of the museum. And when they did that, they ended up with extra lath. And so my father-in-law thought, well, this is a chance to be a part of history. So we have now a piece of lath that was in the law office of Abraham Lincoln back in 1842 to 1849, I think it was, when he was practicing law and riding around out there. So I will pass this around, and this can be your brush with history.
Thank you.
Hey, Barry, don't try to throw it.
Yeah.
when I was 15, Alfred Hitchcock came to Bombay, India. My father got to know him real well. He was there doing a movie and got very close to my father. And so when we came on home leave, he said, look me up and I'll give you a tour of the studios. And so we did that. And I got to meet Annette Funicello and all the other Musketeers at the time. And she was really a good-looking girl. But anyway, it all turned out real well because we got a free ride around all of Southern California on him. And he was a tremendous man. Nice to know him.
Thank you, Scott. Scott just inspired me to talk about genealogy. Anybody else have family search in here? We'll find out if we're cousins. Okay, we'll turn it on in a few minutes. We're probably all cousins. But in the genealogy line, I just want you to know that my grandmother was the first woman hung in America. In 1648 in Scituate, Massachusetts. She's my 10th generation grandmother, and Captain Miles Standish court-martialed her, sentenced her to death and hung her, and she's the first woman hung in America. It's a famous case. And let's turn our things to family search, and we'll find out if we're cousins.
Anyone else out there? I have, go ahead.
Okay.
So Brush with Greatness back in 74, so I've been 12 years old. Dad was the commander of ESD, Electronic Systems Division, Hanscom. And he goes, son, come on, let's go to the flight line. I said, why? He goes, there's someone there I want you to meet. So we drive the flight line. It's dark, and Henry Kissinger's plane came up on the tarmac. And so we walked up to meet him and his son. His son was about my age also. Talked a little bit, and then afterwards, went down, had a group of reporters, surrounded me. Here I am, a 12-year-old. They're all asking, how was it? How was he? And I said, oh, he's just, an ordinary guy. And they put that on the radio the next day. But the thing I remember most about Henry Kissinger, he was kind of heavy set, thick black curly hair, thick glasses, and he chewed his fingernails. So that's the thing that sticks out in my mind about him.
So Ben reminded me that a lot of you know that I spent the majority of my Air Force career with an airplane called AWACS, E3s. And Ben Bellis's dad, General Bellis, when he was at ESD, was involved in the development of that airplane. And there never has been, and there never is currently, an airplane that matches up to the capability of that airplane. Your dad was a talented guy. One of the missions that we had, 1979, was we got deployed, just a couple airplanes, into the Sinai Desert. And we were there as a precursor for what turned out to be a horrible Desert One operation. It was the failed rescue of the hostages in Tehran. And so we were there to gather intelligence and to participate in some tactical deception kinds of stuff. They had us set in the middle of the Sinai Desert, so it was hard for anybody to discover us. And then we were eventually discovered, and that was part of the whole plan. And we were there to confuse the bad guys and what we were actually up to. And I think that part worked pretty well. But as a result of that, we were in this remote location. Nobody could get to us. Very few people knew we were there, what we were up to. And we got visited by Anwar Sadat. And that was amazing. And because we were in this location, guarded, he flew in there, and nobody from anywhere knew that Sadat had come down to visit us. And we sat around in a room about this size and just talked to him, and he was a remarkable guy. To this day, I believe that peace in the Middle East ended when he was assassinated. But it was so, I was so taken with the guy. So that was my brush of greatness.
Thank you.
$1995, I got to tell Bill Clinton where he could go. He had come to speak to the graduating class at the academy, and my job that day was to read some of the names of the graduates as they came by. But before that started, after all the speechifying was done, my job was to go and get the president and say, Mr. President, you go here.
'So my story is from 1969. I was a senior in high school, Goose Bay, Labrador, northeastern Canada, a DOD school, 19 people in our senior class, 21 in the junior class, 25 in the sophomore class. So we didn't really have many people that came up to see us there. But during some of the weather that was more pleasant, we did have a visit by Eddie Fainter. I don't know if any of you remember Eddie Fainter, softball pitcher. Guy was really astonishing. I mean, he could throw strikes. He was throwing 105 plus pitches with that softball. He'd throw strikes all day long from the pitcher's mound, from second base, and from the outfield. It was just really astonishing what he could do. And he had a long, long career as a softball pitcher. And he and his team came to Goose Bay, and he had several matches with some of the airmen and some of the other teams on base. Well, he also spent a little time with our high school softball, put together a softball team. And so we were out on the field, he's pitching, and I came up to bat. And I was thinking, gosh, just throw me a fast pitch. And he didn't. He threw me a slow pitch. And I thought, oh, come on, throw me a fast pitch. And he threw me a second slow pitch. I hit the ball and a home run. I hit a home run off of Eddie Fainter. Anybody on Zoom?
Oh, I was gonna say,
Let's see if anybody on Zoom.
Nobody.
Nobody on Zoom has a story? All right, go ahead.
oh yeah, no, on the sports theme, when my wife and I used to go up to Mendocino for an anniversary celebration, we played golf up there. And one day I was playing golf. Now, this is not gonna be a brush with fame if you're not a baseball geek like I am. But at any rate, I was getting toward the end of the golf round, hit the golf shot, but I never had anything that good before or since. A couple of guys came up on us and said, hey, why don't you finish out the course with us? Turns out one of these guys was Duke Snyder. And so I didn't hit any good shots after that. I found Duke plays at least two games better than I do. But at any rate, he took the time to chat with us after the round. I mean, he wasn't in a hurry to go anyplace. I was coaching my son's baseball team at the time, and I could, you just fall into a conversation, think, who are you to talk about baseball with Duke Snyder? But I mean, he sat and talked through the same thing, expressions of a little bit of frustration about how his grandkids were being coached and trying to teach him to hit right. He said, to hit the ball hard someplace, good things will happen. But I chatted with him. He was such an unpretentious guy. And as we left, I said, well, I really enjoyed talking to you.
And he said, what we want? And I got the idea, he really meant it. He said, I really enjoyed talking to you too. He was just kind of a special sort of guy.
Rich Reimer, do you have something?
Not really.
Oh, then mute yourself.
No, it's been pretty dull. One day I was allowed into the tank in the Pentagon where General Powell and 13 other 3- and 4-star generals and admirals were discussing whether that we should buy the Millstar satellite or not. They're only $1 billion a piece. But right when it got good, I had to get up and leave with the Vice Admiral Mackey, the J6, because they didn't want to talk in front of us. So that's the best I can do.
Back in 1983, I was privileged to serve in the Azores. Coming through from a Christmas show that he had done in the Middle East was Bob Hope and his entourage. You can't all see this, but this is a picture of Marion grabbing on to Bob Hope's arm in the Oak Club. In that entourage was Brooke Shields. My son was there for Christmas break, I think, from the academy, and he was sitting next to Brooke Shields. That was probably the highlight of his tour at the Air Force Academy.
I have about 3 little short ones. Working at the airport during college, and you always get kind of celebrities coming through, politicos. So one day, speaking of brushes, I was out painting the wheel chocks with bright yellow colors, messy. And in comes this Gulfstream 1, which is a turboprop, and they said, it's the governor's plane. Oh, wow, what the hell is he doing in town? So the governor asked you at the time. Anyhow, he gets out, and his reception party greets him. As a politician, he makes sure he greets the little folks like us. So he comes over to us, and we're all lined up with our jumpsuits, and I got wet paint all this way. Yes, I shook his hand. Anyhow, we don't know if he had any yellow paint on him after that or not. Second little story, rock groups always came to my town. One day, the group Yes, famous for Roundabout, came in. Wasn't so much when they came, it was when they left. I met, I think his name was Anderson, lead singer, chatted. But they were being held up by some other members who were out shopping. So they come back and the last member shows up in the limousine and he gets out. What was odd about it, you hear these millionaire rock stars. He had made a quick side trip to discount shoes to get some sandals. It's weird. But being a rock star, sandals would fit quite well. The third one wasn't quite a brush, great. This was a kind of a semi-brush. Nelson Rockefeller, vice president. His jet came in. And the only reason I knew it was his jet because he had been on 60 Minutes a week prior. And the name of the jet was the Mayflower. Wayfarer, and it was a Gulfstream 2. Anyhow, and all his grandchildren could come out unloaded. They went over to some resort area nearby for a spring break. And okay, big deal. Nelson wasn't there, okay? Anyhow, but what I remember about it was the pilot said, you got a bucket. Okay, yeah, we get a bucket. We had, a 5-gallon bucket. No, I needed something. So we had a trash can. Okay, the trash can will do. He pulls out a little trash liner. Says, I need you to hold this. I had two of us out there, line crewmen. You need to hold that up against while I pull this handle inside. It was empty. It was empty in the honey pot. And I said to my partner, you're going to remember this. This is Nelson Rockefeller's stuff here. So we get done. Well, we're out there at the ramp in front of the airport restaurant, which has windows that look out. Well, what do we do with this? We can't take it back to the hangar. There's a drainage gate right there. So in front of the restaurant. We took care of Nelson. Anyhow, that's my brushes. We have one online?
Jim, do you have something? Jim Johnson?
Yeah, I talked about this. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, good. I talked about my brush with greatness. I think one of the greatest guys that ever lived was Bob Hope. And I had the privilege of taking the T-39. I was an IP in 39 in Herbert, Eglin, Florida. And went up and landed at Navy, I'll make this short, Navy Coast Guard, picked up Bob Hope, his doctor, and his wife Dolores, took them to Herbert Field where he did an impromptu show on the flight line at Herbert, and then opened up the new officers club, which is out on the beach there. I had a chance, obviously flying, to go back and sit down with Bob and Dolores and watch the doctor rub his feet while we talked. And Bob was not, I couldn't get many questions asked of Bob because he was asking me. I had, I'm just barely a captain, and he wanted to know what all I'd done about my career and everything. And he was just a fine fellow. That night, he was supposed to spend the night, and one of the Hollywood guys, passed away. So I'm in my mess dress at this function, and the wing commander comes over and says, "Go get your ass in a flight suit." And Bob wants to go to Hollywood, but he doesn't want to fly a T-39 all the way because it bothers his back. So find an airline that'll get him from somewhere. Anyway, I took him to Dallas that night. When he got off the plane, and I'd gotten to talk to him during the night as well. When he got off the plane, he handed about a half bottle left of Jack Daniels to my co-pilot and I, and they had held the American airline flight for about 30 minutes, and I had to get on air traffic control as I'm coming in, saying we're not going to make it because he kept partying, I think, too long. I got in to Love Field, Dallas, 30 minutes after they theoretically closed, taxied right up to the door. He got off again, dropped off the bottle. And then we were persona non grata, and the guy said, "You're going to spend a night here, and it's going to cost you a lot of money if you don't get that airplane off the field." Bob Hope's, I had a chance to meet him after that a time or two, and he acted like he remembered that flight and all of that kind of stuff, which I'm sure he didn't, but he was a great, great guy.
Well, since this is a Bob Hope Day, I also had the honor of meeting him. When I was a senior in college, I worked at the Union Newsstand at the United Terminal in Kennedy. And there's probably a lot of movie stars and famous people that came by, but I never recognized any of them. My boss recognized everybody. But one day somebody came, we sold cigars on the side. There was a big humidor. So some guy comes over to me one day and says, "I want a cigar." So I opened the thing up, I gave him a cigar, and he went on his way, not very friendly. One of the passenger agents walked up to me and said, "Do you know who that was?" I said, "No, I haven't." That's why I said, "Yeah, you just sold the cigar to Bob Hope."
In my first job, partway through college, I had a co-op job where I was still a college student, partway through college, and I worked at General Electric Apollo Support across the street from NASA Johnson Space Center. And my job was to go get blueprints and put them in the right drawers and give them to the right engineers when they needed the right blueprints. One day, I was riding the taxi. They had lots of taxis for different contractors. And a car pulls out in the building 4 Johnson Space Center parking lot and stalls. It was a Maserati. The car ahead of me, the stall wouldn't start. Astronaut Wally Schirra gets out,
walks back to our taxi. Hi, could all you guys get out and help me jumpstart my Maserati? We all happily get out, touch his Maserati, push it hard. He pops the clutch and vroom, takes off. So here I was, 19 years old and helping jumpstart a $12,000 Maserati. That's what they cost back then.
Mine is one step removed from rush of greatness. When Pope John Paul was up in Canada, my older brother, who's a professional photographer, was the lead photographer for the whole tour up in Canada with Pope John Paul. So fast forward several years, and we had won a dinner with Archbishop Sheridan here in Colorado Springs. So he wasn't Archbishop Sheridan wasn't a very talkative guy, so I'm trying to figure out, how do we start a conversation with him? And I said, well, my brother was the photographer when John Paul was up in Canada, and he published, my brother has a book published with all the photographs. So I said, I can send it to you. And there was somebody else in the audience, not in the audience, but just in this group of people that we were with, whose comment was, your brother's the Pope?
On that connection, I just want to follow up, just because there's a connection there. A very good old friend of mine is the bishop of the Lutheran Church in Southwest Washington. And he was selected as the Lutheran Church's representative to the Vatican. So he's had the experience of having multiple one-on-one conversations with both of the last two popes. He said they pray for each other a lot.
I don't know any popes. Forgive me, Mark, for piggybacking, but since it's Bob Hope Day, I'm going to tell another Bob Hope story. My granduncle, Charles A. Smith, owned the ice cream store in East Cleveland, where Bob Hope first proposed to his first non-wife. She turned him down. And that's as close as I've ever gotten to Bob Hope.
Before I launch into this thing, does anybody remember Peter, Paul, and Mary? Okay. When I was in college, my last couple of years, had to make a little extra money, so I was a second seater now in a livery concern that moved stars around. And one of our candidates, I was just a second seater because Bob, my pilot was 10 times the flyer that I was. He sailed through some god awful weather in Michigan where you didn't know whether you were up or down or in or sideways. And when that outer marker came on, you were the happiest person in the world. But anyway, we did fly Peter, Paul, and Mary back in, and they gave us tickets to their concert, and Gene and I went down to the concert and met a chap you probably all called Jamie Farr. He was doing Oklahoma at the time, so it was quite nice.
So somewhat in the same vein anyway, I was on the USS Kitty Hawk and we were returning from a deployment, stopped in Hawaii, and we do something called a Tiger Cruise, where you bring relatives out and they ride with you from Hawaii back to the West Coast. So idiot me, I have a 15-year-old daughter, blonde, pretty good looking. I say, why don't you come out and make the Tiger Cruise with me? So she does. Well, I'm the CDC director, which is the Combat Direction Center on the carrier. I got about 83 sailors that work for me. Their average age is 19. So between her desire to be with the sailors and their desire to be around a blonde, I had a hard time keeping track of her and where she was and what she was doing.
So we also, in the same vein as Bud Hope, bring a celebrity out usually to entertain the troops on the way home. So I walk into the hangar bay and there's about 3,000 sailors between me and the stage. And I asked my deputy assistant, I said, have you seen my daughter? And he said, yeah, she's all the way up front with the rest of the sailors near the stage. So anyway, we've survived that. Got up the next morning, went down to the wardroom for breakfast, and my daughter said, well, let's sit over there next to that guy because he's all by himself. So we go over and we sit down and have breakfast. And my daughter looks at him and says, I really, really enjoyed the concert last night. So I had breakfast with Steven Stills.
Any other stories out there? We got another one.
Two more stories. When I was working at United Airlines at JFK, I was asked to go help Raquel Welch when she came in, get her dog back from the baggage area. And I don't know, I did such a good job. She asked for me every time she came into New York. And so we got to know each other very well. But it was only professional, unfortunately. And the other one is when I became a manager at the Manhattan sales office, we put on a big program called Night of the 100 Stars. I don't know if you've heard of it, but we did a big gala in New York, and there were over 300 stars there. And the one thing I remember from that night was, remember the Dukes of Hazzard? Remember Daisy? Oh, yeah. Well, Daisy's there. She's in this beautiful gown, and she has no straps around her top. And then all of a sudden, as I'm walking by, there's this huge, shall we say, garment disorder. The whole thing flops down like that. And there they were, two beautiful things sharing it. Okay. She looked at me and smiled.
Any others out there? Okay. Cousin.
We're probably a lot of cousins in here. Goes back to all anybody that has access to England or Europe. We're probably interconnected several of these. Anybody want to? Goes back 15 generations. We're from common grandparents for about 1700.
All right. Thank you. Hearing none, we'll do, who's gonna pull it out there?
Well, I don't think you're a logical person.
What if I pick my number?
I have, like, you won the last 3 times. I don't have a skin in this game. So. We have 988.
All right, all from my 3. 988.
Right here.
Oh, hey. Good thing I didn't.
You got one chance in 90 of getting $50.
Thank you. Okay. Next week, reminder, we do not have a meeting. We want you to show up at the craft fair with your wallets. And any other further announcements to make? Hearing none, have a good week.